What is in your plate? Most of you will say ugali and juicy sukuma wiki. Well, ugali is Kenya's staple food, best eaten with greens, most of which retails at an affordable price. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wellness. Many people in urban settings such as Nairobi and its environs have no clue where the spinach, sukuma wiki and arrowroots, among other fresh-looking, exciting to the eye foods come from. We asked a few people on their thoughts about where the food they consume comes from and if they consider that particular food to have any presence of toxins.
Supermarkets, shambas. I don't know.
Okay, and does this food, the question of this food having toxins ever concerned you? Maybe when you're doing your purchase?
At sometimes, because this is Kenya, everything is business. You're never sure what, but tunakula kwa imani.
Primarily I think it comes from the farms. But on my end, I collect it from our local markets. Okay. Yeah.
Now, when you're going to buy this, does the question of it having toxins?
That's an interesting one. I'd say yes and no. Yeah, no, because it's an ordinary occurrence for one to just buy foods in the market. Yes, when you see some articles on your TV stations or on radios, where you get that some foods have toxins, and that's when it comes across as a hazard.
I will take you on a journey through the dark waters of the Nairobi sewer lines, where I will give you a glimpse of where some of it comes from. Professor Gwei is the head of Agricultural Science and Technology Department, lecturing on system agronomy and plant nutrition.
This idea of wastewater has been there for many years. Not only in Kenya, and many other countries have had this problem of wastewater use. As the water goes along the river, there are some pollutants from the industry. There's also some raw waste, sewage from the other people from informal sectors. So there's very high level of contamination in this river. And you see, if those vegetables are consumed with this water having contaminated the vegetable, you will end up problems like, so we have got Shigella, some of the pathogen, we have got Salmonella, E. coli, and those all have got effects in our systems, especially can cause diarrhea and many other problems.
Besides farms, hospitals are key places to trace waterborne toxins. This is because patients are already afflicted with some kind of disease. Dr. Catherine Duta, a clinical officer, is keenly aware of the need for sanitary conditions in her facility. She also deals with a number of cases where water pollutants have caused the ailments that her patients complain about.
From the history, we get they consumed maybe unboiled water or unclean water. Yeah, but for the adults, mostly say they took some food and that's when the symptoms started. Mostly they say about the vegetables, the common vegetables that are being sold in the markets, and the fish. Mostly if maybe somebody had passed through a hotel, consumed like a fish, that's when they come with those symptoms of vomiting and diarrhea and abdominal pains. The most common things is from the consumption of the harmful product, mostly water and unclean or unhygiene foods. Now from that, it's when we get bacteria like typhoid, H. pylori, and amoeba, which are the leading things in the gastrointestinal infections. The main health risk, you can have chronic history of abdominal pains, which will be on and off the hospital, with chronic history of taking medication without clearly knowing what is causing the pain or the vomiting or the diarrhea. Another health risk thing is that you can even end up being admitted in a facility, because if you get now like vomiting and diarrhea for many days, some for long, you can get dehydrated, which you need to be reinfused some IV fluids, and that can cost you some your time and money.
Kenyan farmers are on the front line of the local food security. The growth of vegetables is booming. The only problem is they are unaware of the presence of toxins in the water they use in the growth of their produce. We spoke to John, not his real name. He has been farming for decades.
Tunapiga maji kutoka Nairobi River, ndio tunaweka kwa mashamba, tunatumia maji. Hii eneo inaibloy watu wengi, wamama kutoka ngambo ile za juu wanakuja na wapatie kibarua. Ukiangalia pale utaona wamama wengi wanafanya kazi. Kwa hivyo ni eneo ambaye inashika eneo hii kwa sehemu kubwa sana kiuchumi.
The other aspect that I am very much interested in is the aspect of heavy metals. These heavy metals, because of industrial pollution, and most of the time when we do the experiment, we look at the amount of water and what is being taken up. But some of them come as deposits from the atmosphere. And that one, sometimes when you do experiment, it's not very easy to differentiate unless now we take some samples of the water and work in the greenhouses.
Now, for our case, what we did is that for soil samples, you need to extract it. You need to remove the heavy metals from that soil. You see, once you remove the heavy metal from that soil, you have different methods of doing so. We use the aquaregia because we realize that aquaregia is a very powerful mixture that can be able to remove all the heavy metals, because at the end of the day, because you'll find that these are trace elements, they are very low concentration, and you have to be very careful to ensure that you remove all the nutrients or all the elements in it, because the detection limit is usually very low compared to other macro elements. So one, we brought the samples to the lab, we had to air dry them for the soil samples. So after air drying them, we weigh. So we have analytical the balance. So we weigh about 0.3 grams of the sample. Then we put it in a digestion block. We have the tubes. Then you digest, you put the acid inside. Then you digest for some hours at about 360 degrees. Once the digestion is complete, then now you dilute your sample and your solution now, then you filter it. So you will have your sample in solution form.
So a number of projects that we have done has shown that there are some differentiation in terms of these plants in the uptake. The uptake kinetics vary. So some of the plants, like the vegetables, mainly in the cities, they would prefer these high value vegetables that grow very fast. And I think we need to look at that from other perspective, because from the survey, the people who live in informal sectors, if you compare somebody who is having this use of wastewater and having vegetables, their nutritional safety is higher because they eat vegetables, they have other food sources compared to those people who don't have. So the only problem is that they need to be guarded. Other countries, the government have taken initiative to try and try to make sure that this water is somehow they purify the water. It's not purifying the water, but partially treated or treatment. And the treatment is not very complicated. Just the way we treat this water from houses and all that. Even across we have got what oxidation ponds. Oxidation ponds, that when you have this water that you are saying that they smell and all that, they are supposed to go different steps. One pond, and these oxidation ponds have got algae which break down this. So in other countries, they break down this, and eventually at the end, they have got good water. Funnily enough, which is a problem to policymakers and even planners, the farmers don't like that water. Why? Because already the other one had a lot of nutrients, and now again they have to buy fertilizers, while the other one had almost all the nutrients. But when it's broken down, some of these nutrients remain in the pods. So they have to go and also use fertilizer and buy fertilizers. So they would prefer, still after, even, that's now the challenging thing, they still go back to take this wastewater, which has all those nutrients, but it has a lot of heavy metals. Heavy metals, for example, we have cadmium, we have got lead, we have chromium, nickel, we have got, for some of them, like for example, zinc or chromium. Chromium in human nutrition, if it's a small amount, it's okay, it's good, it's required by the body, but excessive amount is a problem. Zinc is okay even for plants, but excess amount is what's the problem. But cadmium, lead, I think has no economic value. It has a problem because some of them are carcinogenic, they can cause cancer, mutagenic, they can cause mutation in your body, and they cause muscle spasm. So generally, if taken for a long period, and you know what's called biomagnification. If it's, for example, you have maybe napier grass, and it has got some of this, then you feed it to your pig. The pig, now it gets concentrated in the body. So thus, as you go to the different levels, then it gets more and more concentrated. It's different from when you have beans or a vegetable eat direct, rather than again give it to a rabbit, then after that you eat a rabbit. It gets more magnified and becomes more concentrated in the body. So I think the best way is maybe try to look for ways of trying to work together with these farmers and try to find a way of trying to reduce the concentration either in the plants or in the soil. There's a way of cleaning, there's called phytoremediation.
What we saw here was shocking. The transition between the dry and fertile land was quick and evident. Cutting across was the noisome flow of the notorious Nairobi River. The question that then begs is, will the government join hands with informed parties to clean the very water that ends up in your plate?